Excellent. So we're up to week 12 for our tutorial on the cardiovascular system. I've got 3 questions here. Before you watch this video, you should have got the questions. They'll be in the YouTube title and probably on Interact also. First, draw out or describe the heart. All of these would be worth 4 marks each. Now that would be pretty much the most simple question you could possibly be asked in the first year uni exam, because you could draw like a 4-chambered thing and label 3 chambers. So it's less likely that we'd ask that question, but I put it in here so that we could run through each of some of the structures for the heart. Then list the vessels in the correct order that blood would flow on its journey from the left ventricle, A, to the right fingers and back to the heart. That would be worth 4 marks. You get half a mark for each correct answer here that was following a correct structure, because it has to be in the correct order. So if you put them out of order, then you wouldn't get a mark for the first one that's back into order, a half mark. I'll describe that more clearly, or try to describe that more clearly in a moment. But the key is to get as many as you can in a row. If you put 8 structures in a row, then you get 4 marks. If you remembered every second structure from the heart to the fingers and back, you'd get close to 0 marks. So just make sure that you remember structures in a row. Now the second question is to list the vessels in the correct order that blood will flow on its journey from the left ventricle to the plantar surface of your left big toe. So this way we can today think about our left side and our right side, upper limb, lower limb. Cool. We'll start with the heart, but actually before we start with the heart, we might go one step further, one step back, just thinking about the cardiovascular system. Can you tell me the name of the vessel that's defined as it leaves the heart? The type of vessel that takes blood away from the heart?
Artery.
An artery. Excellent. Is it always oxygenated? No. It's mostly oxygenated, but it's sometimes deoxygenated. Arteries branch into smaller and smaller arteries, which then form arterioles, which will then branch into smaller and smaller vessels, which are the exchange vessels of the cardiovascular system. Starts with C, capillaries. Now capillaries have leaky walls, and that's where we have exchange of nutrients. So at the arterial end of a capillary, we have, what sort of nutrients would we have coming from the blood into the capillaries? From the blood into the tissues. Oxygen? What other things? Nutrients? Glucose, perfect. On that, what other macronutrients there might be? Glucose? Yeah, oh yeah, so staying with the glucose, like fatty acids, amino acids, then we'd have, if the cells needed extra calcium, then calcium would be filtering through there, or sodium, potassium. Anything we needed, hormones could be coming through. Now at the other end of the capillary, at what we call the venous end, there's a pull for fluid back into the capillary, and that's where we can have the absorption of, the reabsorption of waste products. So what sort of waste products might cells want to get rid of?
Carbon dioxide.
Carbon dioxide, perfect. Then does anyone know the breakdown product of protein metabolism? It's urea. What about during high intensity exercise?
Hydrogen ions.
Hydrogen ions and lactic acid. Excellent. Cool. Sorry, lactate and hydrogen ions. And then also, like say if it was a capillary running through the thyroid gland and we're secreting thyroid hormone, we might be putting hormones back into the capillaries. Is that all right? So the only place, so this is to simplify it, but for this subject, the only place that we have exchange of nutrients in the cardiovascular system is in the capillary bed. Cool. Then capillaries will fuse with other capillaries to form a bigger vessel called starts with B, venule, which will form bigger vessels called veins. Excellent. Cool. Now, we might start talking about the heart. I just wanted to make sure we ran through that. Now here I have an anterior view of a heart, but it doesn't look like a heart, so we're not even going to bother zooming probably on the video because it looks so terrible. We don't need to show everyone. Sorry, but it doesn't need to look good. I just wanted to make sure that we knew that there are 3 vessels draining into the first chamber of the heart, which is the right atria. What's the chamber that the vessel that comes from above? Superior vena cava. Excellent. Where is that bringing blood from? Yeah, excellent. So it's actually the left and the right brachiocephalic veins that are draining into the superior vena cava. What would brachio mean? Arm, and cephalic, head. So if the left and right brachiocephalic veins are draining into the superior vena cava, it'd be the upper limbs and the head and neck. Yeah, cool. Whereas this one underneath here, this vessel, it's the inferior vena cava, so that will be draining venous blood from lower limbs, trunk, into the heart. Excellent. Now there's one, I can't get this off very well. There's a third vessel draining venous blood into the right atria. I've just drawn it as a circle here. It's this dark dot on the heart. Do you remember what that's called? Coronary sinus. Excellent. So it's the coronary sinus. Where's that bringing venous blood from? The heart. So the heart needs its own sort of capillary beds, hey, because that's where we have exchange of nutrients. So even though we have 4 chambers in the heart, blood's pumping through it about 5 litres per minute at rest, we don't have a capillary here, so we're going to have very, very limited exchange of nutrients across the thick ventricular wall, for example. So we need our own coronary circulation. We have a left and right coronary artery. They're on your prac list. So I've got another figure that it's displaying it a little bit more clearly, I think. But we can see on here, this is the right coronary artery. And we can also see it when the anterior surface of the heart's taken away. We can see a little branch coming off the aorta. So that is the right coronary artery, and that's going to supply arterial blood to the right side of the heart. We also have the left coronary artery on the left side. So the coronary artery will branch into smaller and smaller vessels called arterioles, which will then branch into smaller vessels called capillaries. They'll exchange oxygen and remove waste products from the walls of the heart. Then they'll fuse and form bigger vessels called venules. They'll then go to veins, and then it will drain into the right atrium via the coronary sinus. Excellent. What happens if you have a blockage in one of the coronary arteries? Yeah, it's a myocardial infarction, or you could say it's a coronary. So it's a heart attack. So a region of tissue, an artery has been blocked. A region of tissue is no longer receiving the oxygen that it needs. It's going to start to die. Infarct. Now, if that region's important, then you die. If it's not so important, and it just means your heart will pump less efficiently, then you'll survive. What's the surgery if you had lots of blocked arteries and they needed to put better arteries in there? So,
The bypass?
yeah, bypass surgery. Has everyone heard of that? Triple bypass? Quadruple bypass. So if you only need one bypass, then they can pull the mammary artery around and plug that. So you cut out the section of damaged of blocked artery and pop the mammary artery in so that it can start delivering blood to the region. For other areas, they'll take vessels out of your leg and put them in. So when I was an honours student at St Vincent's Hospital in Melbourne, my ID card said Department of Medicine student. So I snuck into a lot of surgeries. It's very, very cool. So yeah, saw a triple bypass, and it was great until the surgeon started asking me questions I just had no idea of the answers to. So yeah, went very, very mute. But I highly recommend sneaking into surgeries whenever you can. It's quite interesting. It's really good for your anatomy. Surgeons love anatomy. But yes, so we need this coronary circulation. Does that make sense now? Well, yep, we've got it. And there's the left and right coronary arteries and the coronary sinus are all on your prac list, so they're things we definitely need to know. Now, blood will flow in through those 3 vessels to the right atria, then down into the right ventricle. What valve will it go through? The tricuspid, because we try before we buy. So the tricuspid's on the right side, the bicuspid's on the left side. So it goes through the tricuspid valve to the right ventricle. Then blood's going to the lungs, so it's going to go through, what will this valve be called here? Pulmonary, or we can call it the pulmonary semilunar valve or the pulmonary valve. and that will go into, what's this short vessel called? Pulmonary trunk. That'll branch into left and right pulmonary arteries. So are they oxygenated or deoxygenated? Deoxygenated. They're going to the lungs to be oxygenated. Excellent. Now they're going to return, blood will return oxygenated from the lungs via the pulmonary veins, and blood will flow then into the left atria through the what valve? Bicuspid valve into the left ventricle. That's got the thick wall, which I tried to add in here. With that, I thought I did that for you, Tom. I thought you'd like this. Now, with our heart, the left and right hearts, right heart, left heart. Right heart's pumping blood to the lungs. Left heart's pumping blood to the rest of your body. They both pump the same amount of blood in each heartbeat, and they both contract at the same time. So it's about 70 mils of blood that they're ejecting in each heartbeat on both sides. But the right pump is working under much, much lower pressures than the left pump. So the right pump's delivering blood to the lungs, and they're close by, but they're also really delicate air sacs. Hey, so you wouldn't go to your grandma's house and water her roses while they're in bloom with a high pressure hose. Hey? Yeah. So you wouldn't, or you probably shouldn't if you do. So the right side of the heart, working along the same lines, you just need low pressure sending the blood to the lungs. But the left heart has to pump the oxygenated blood to the rest of the body, and that's under much higher pressure. So the wall of the left ventricle is going to be much, much thicker. Cool. Then it leaves the left ventricle via which valve? Aortic valve, then through the aorta. Excellent. Now I'm just going to turn this around, talk about the vessels that come off the aorta. Now, you didn't need to do pictures, draw pictures here. I just kind of wanted to talk about the margins of where different vessels have changed their names. So I kind of tried to sketch it out a little bit. But with our heart here, there's the two, as soon as the aorta comes out, is formed, then two little arteries come off it. What are they called? The left and right coronary arteries. Good imagination. They don't really look like that, but I just wanted to make sure that we could see them. So again, the left coronary artery is a bit hidden where it comes off the aorta from the right side off the right auricle, but we can just see it when we move the front of the heart off. But we can't really see the left coronary artery because the pulmonary trunk comes over the top and covers it. So there's just one heart in the prac lab, so where you can see that. Did you guys see a clear plastic heart with blue and red? Yep, excellent. So that's the coronary circulation. Excellent. Then our aorta will arch over the top of the heart. What's the first branch off it called? Brachiocephalic. What's the last word? Trunk. Excellent. Brachiocephalic trunk. Brachiocephalic, so where's it going to go? Arm and head. Yep. Okay. And then that will branch off and that will start to answer our question 2A. Now the next branch off the aortic arch, it goes to where? The left side of the head. So it's a left common carotid artery. And then the third branch off goes, yep, so the left subclavian artery, so that'll go to the left arm. Cool. Now the aorta, it arches over the top of the heart and then it runs down the back and it comes out at the abdomen halfway down. We'll look at that when we start going through question 2B. Sorry, I'm really struggling today. I'm getting a cold and I have just words of, so apologies. Please correct me if I say the wrong thing as well. Okay, now we'll work through our answers for question 2A. So we're going to describe the flow of blood from the left ventricle to the fingertips and back. Okay, so we'll start with left ventricle, then for a bonus mark you can add what valve it will go through. The Aortic valve, excellent. Aortic valve then through what vessel? Aorta. And then it will branch off the aorta, first branch, brachiocephalic trunk, excellent. That will then branch into, this isn't the correct answer, but something comes up.
The right common carotid.
Right common carotid artery. And then, but the blood will flow down.
Subclavian.
Right subclavian artery, excellent. Now, it changes names a couple of times, like a road changing names as you go through each suburb. So at the lateral border of the first rib, it stops being the subclavian artery and it forms the
right
axillary artery. Excellent. What is the axillary region of the body? Armpit. So, I'm ticklish in the axillary region. Yep. Where's the popliteal region of the body? Behind the knee. Great. Excellent. Just learning where the regions are can be quite helpful with the names of things.
That's where the nerve starts going to.
Exactly. Yeah. So the axillary nerve is the first branch of the lost my word. Brachial plexus. Okay, axillary artery. It remains the axillary artery until you get to. You need to look at the shoulder muscles. So the inferior border of teres major. So in line with that, the axillary artery forms the brachial artery. Excellent. Now the brachial artery at the cubital fossa. Does anyone know where the cubital fossa is? Yeah, you can call it your elbow pit. You know how you've got an armpit? You kind of got an elbow pit. Yeah. So that is the brachial artery and it divides. So here, if we were drawing a mud map to show how to get to the milk bar from your house, if milk bars still exist, then we'd go from the cubital fossa and you could go left or lateral down the radial artery. And what will the radial artery form? The deep palmar arch. Yep. Now at the deep palmar artery, we could then either go straight to the deep palmar arch vein, or you could be more specific and you could say deep palmar arch artery, then arterial, capillaries delivering oxygen to your fingertips or something like that, to make it a story. Then venules, then what vein would we go back to? Deep palmar arch. Excellent. Cool. So we go back to the deep palmar arch vein, and then what vein would we have?
The radial vein.
Radial vein.
Brachial vein.
Brachial vein. Excellent. Now remember, we picked to go lateral at the cubital fossa, but we could select medial. So then we'd go which artery? Ulnar artery.
Superficial palmar arch.
Superficial palmar arch. Then you could artery. Then you could go superficial palmar arch vein if you wanted, or you could add in that arterioles, capillaries delivering oxygen, venules, vein. Okay, so then we work our way back with veins. Now, I actually can't remember at all. Did I explain what happens if you get one wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, exactly. So you have to make sure that you say them in the correct order. So if you went subclavian brachial, because you left out auxiliary, you wouldn't get a half mark for brachial. But then if you went radial after that, then you'd get a half mark for radial because it's following something that was correct. So you need to make sure that you don't just remember every second one.
So if you get the first paper right,
yeah. Yeah, so you can actually just go from the left ventricle to the fingertips and list 8 instructions and then you're fine.
Do we need to put in the regions where it changes on that?
No, I'm only going through that because I'm revising prac stuff as well. Cool. Okay, let's work all the way back. So axillary vein, right subclavian vein. Maybe I'll get this over here, see if that will work. I'm going to share amazing production values for these videos. Okay, so right subclavian vein, can everyone sort of see that? Sorry, Nat, you're sort of hidden. Right subclavian vein, what vein is this one here? Right jugular vein? Yep. So that's from the head, that's from the arm, so this would be called the right brachiocephalic vein. Yep. And that would be, here is the left brachiocephalic vein. Now they both drain into this vessel here called the superior vena cava into the right atria. Excellent, cool. So if you kind of know it, you can still get full marks for that question, I think, a lot of the time, because there's so many things you could write and you only need 8
In a row.
Awesome. Are there any questions on that? I'll just check the time. We might go through the second, so 2B then. So we're going to describe the flow of blood from the left ventricle to the plantar surface of the big toe and back. Okay. Alright, so blood's going to go from the left ventricle, then what valve? Aortic valve through the aorta. Then the aorta will, my picture's obviously not quite anatomically correct, but it will come, I'll bring the man around, it will come behind the heart and then it will pop out in the abdominal cavity. What's it called down here? The abdominal aorta. Excellent, so the abdominal aorta, and then that's going to branch into a left and right branch. Yep, excellent, the common iliac. I'm just going to put the initials on the board here. So we have the abdominal aorta, and then the common iliac artery, and then, thinking. We'll have it moving in and out. Alright, the common iliac artery, and then that's going to branch into, what are the 2 branches for the common iliac artery?
Internal and external.
Excellent. So internal, what structures will that deliver blood to? Pelvis. And external will run down. Internal iliac artery. I'm not sure if that's readable. External iliac artery. Then we cross it through the ligament. I'm going to switch to a leg. Oh, what's this ligament here? That's the inguinal ligament. Excellent. And then it changes name to which artery?
Femoral.
Femoral. Excellent. So let's just run through on this, if you guys can see, a little bit far away, some of you. So here, what will it be? Common iliac. Excellent. So then this would be in here? Internal. External. Run through the inguinal ligament. And we have the femoral. Excellent. So you can take a pulse at the femoral artery, but just always ask for permission. I had this all pulled apart. Students, put it back together. Okay. After it runs down under the inguinal ligament, it sort of goes deep, and then pops out. So here I've got posterior left leg, and I just could not draw a foot. Sorry. To draw the hand, I put my hand on here, but for the foot, I just couldn't do it. It's supposed to be the plantar surface of a foot. Now, this artery is going to pop out of a little hole. What muscle is it in?
Adductor magnus.
Adductor magnus. And what do we call the hole in adductor magnus?
Adductor hiatus.
Awesome, well done. Adductor hiatus. And so then, which artery pops out? Popliteal. Excellent. So I'll just again put the initials. Sorry, P.A. popliteal artery. Now the popliteal artery just runs down behind the knee, and then we have 2 main branches. At the first branch, it's no longer it stops being the popliteal artery. So the popliteal artery is only from the adductor hiatus to this first branch. This first branch is called what? Yep, anterior tibial artery. And what's the name of the other branch, what just runs straight down the back of your leg? Posterior tibial artery. Excellent. Now we have another branch that comes off, and that's off the posterior tibial artery. That would be the fibular artery. Excellent. But to answer the question, we're running from the popliteal artery to the posterior tibial artery. Now that's going to run down behind the medial malleolus, where we have Tom, Dick and Very Naughty Harry. and it'll come onto the plantar surface of the foot. It's not actually shown on this model, which is a bit of a shame. And we'll have a branch going to the big toe. What branch will that be? Medial. Plantar artery. Yep. I'm just going to put MPA, sorry, otherwise I spend too much time writing. So it's a medial plantar artery, and that will deliver blood to the big toe. Now from the at the medial plantar artery, we could say that it goes arterial, capillary, venual, or you could just say it goes medial plantar artery to the medial plantar vein. Then back to the posterior tibial vein, popliteal vein,
femoral vein, external iliac vein, common iliac vein.
and then we don't go to the aortic vein, please remember that. What would we then come to? Inferior vena cava, and that will deliver heart blood to the right atria. Ooh. Please bear in mind with these, actually, so if the anterior tibial artery, where might that be delivering blood to? The anterior compartment of the leg? Yeah. The fibular artery? The lateral compartment. Posterior tibial artery to the posterior compartment. Cool, so remember there'll be 2 draw and or describe muscle questions in your short answer exam questions. So just say one was draw and or describe tibialis anterior. You'd get a mark for saying that the anterior tibial artery delivers blood. Is that right? Cool. Any questions on this? No. All right, cool. We might stop the video. Thank you very much for that.